taking notes.
No, we can't hear him.
We can't hear you.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
We hear you, George.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Say something else, Gus.
Oh, can you hear me? Yes, Chris?
Yeah, you're fine, Dick.
Yeah, yeah.
It looks to me like it's something on your end, Gus.
You got it muted?
Are you picking his nose?
Hey, you're recording.
Oh. And?
Looks like he's gonna come back in.
Okay.
Who's on? Got somebody on the phone too, Chris?
No. Oh, yes. I'm not sure
Jan
who that
Radley,
is.
probably.
A lot of times it's Tina.
Sit back here.
Oh, okay. Tina or Jan?
That's my fault. It's spam.
Hand me one of the
Yep,
agendas.
here.
Well, Steve, what happens?
Yeah, Dick.
It was like this and you went over.
Almost got a tattoo.
Chris, can you hear me now?
Absolutely.
There you go.
Okay.
Much better.
Can you hear
I
us?
just left the meeting and logged back in.
All right. You can hear us all right?
Yep, sounds good.
All right. Let's get this workshop going.
Recording in progress.
You got church time?
Good. Call to order. Confirmation of proper notice.
Notice posted according to requirements.
Roll call. You got
Well, I got people not here. Cookie. Shannon. Denny. Monica.
Karen.
Karen. Where's Karen? Playing
She,
pickleball?
no, she sent me a text. She has a previous engagement. She was going to try to make the first half hour, and then she couldn't make it.
We have 10.
Okay. Very good. President comments, yeah, review of the minutes. Yeah, we'll do that. Financial matters. Treasurer report.
Yep. You want it now? It'll be ready.
Accounts receivable.
Yeah, working on that.
Legal issues. You get that. Old business. Second floor renovation slabs.
Still underway.
Okay.
Withholding some money because not satisfied with many of the locations. We're meeting with the contractor probably Thursday to go over individual units.
Okay, so they haven't done that yet because I think they fixed the problem we had above us.
Yeah. Well, we're going over everything individually now because there are some still issues that, like I said, he knows he's not going to get any more money till we resolve some of this, what we think is not up to standard work. And it primarily involves where they put down caulking and painting and bleeding through and things like that.
We have no issues with owners anymore, that's done, right?
No.
Okay.
Issues with owners?
In regards
It's
to...
a regular happening, sir.
I guess that was a little broad.
Yeah,
In regards to the thing up there, that's all been taken care of
Yes.
as far as the tiles, et
Yes.
cetera.
We're not through with yours and the repairs, but 612 seems to be happy. Yeah.
It hasn't been painted yet.
No, I know.
Okay, okay.
That's where we're at, anyway. This is a project that had issues that we didn't even realize when we got into it, with all the modifications that people did and things like that.
Electrical repairs.
Okay, moving along, right now we have 3 ground straps out, temporary straps out, 308, 138, and no, those and one in the 500s, 544. FP&L is issuing an appointment for 308, so it should be replaced next week. Obviously, 139, Dan's unit was particularly hit with power issues all the way from the transformer, and it required a ground strap replacement for his, but FP&L paid for that because, in my opinion, since they had issues from the transformer to the handhold, they know that they had responsibility from the handhold hold to the unit. Dan has got something out of pocket of close to $4,000.
It's almost $4,000.
With
It burned up almost
appliances.
everything in the house.
Oh.
It burned up the microwave oven, the dishwasher, ceiling fan. It blew out every light bulb. Smoke was coming out of the lamps.
Actually had a fire underground.
That
There was a
happened,
fire
There
underground.
was a fire underground.
that happened to my condo, the next one to me, and the next one to me, several years ago. Florida Power and Light blamed it on Spectrum. Spectrum blamed it on Florida Power and Light. So nobody took care, or so no one would take responsibility for it. But Spectrum came in and had to rewire my whole house for cable. When you opened up the electrical boxes, you could smell the fire that was in there. The TV, the wire for the TV had burned spiral down it. Florida Power and Light went from the can to the converter over by the power pack over by the dumpster. But yeah, it was a mess, and nobody wanted to pay for any of my stuff.
I have $1,000 deductible.
Right.
Why should I have to pay $1,000 for a problem that's not mine?
Exactly. But they just totally do not.
Well, I have a claim
Well, they
file,
changed, Tammy,
almost
because
4,000 with Florida Power
they
and
came in
Light,
and
but,
replaced everything.
I'm waiting to see what
That's
they come up with. They haven't
And they're
they haven't
accepting a
given me
claim
a dollar
from Dan.
figure yet,
I'm so sorry.
but I'm not real happy.
I've got a question with
They
regard to
got my
that.
unit, they got 3
So
adjacent
if you
units.
buy the surge
the worst of
protection from Florida Power and Light for, what is it, $5 a month?
$15 a month, I think
Or
it is.
whatever it is.
$495, I think.
Well,
Whatever.
there's two.
Yeah.
There's one that does appliances, and then the other one does electronics. I've got both. I've got, so it's up to
But would they cover it
$15.
then?
It covers it's $15 per month, because I have both
Right, but what does it
appliances.
cover?
If I have
I thought it covered this kind of thing.
appliances and electronics
Correct.
for $15 a month.
Yes.
That's what it covers.
But it
Now,
would cover this situation.
I would imagine it does.
I would
Question,
imagine.
and if I may, if you have a loss due to this, do they prorate it?
What do you mean?
I have no idea. I've never
I
seen
mean,
it.
if you had a loss, would they say, all right, that radio or that?
No, because Munson had his TV blown out by one of those, and they gave him another $800 TV.
They're trying to depreciate everything of mine.
Yeah.
Yeah, you want replacement value.
What you reckon?
I want
Yeah, that's-
replacement value. Air conditioning was okay. But yeah, that was
I have a
like
question.
$8,000.
I have a question. That $15 a month, is that paid to,
FPL.
FPL? It is?
FPL.
Okay.
That sounds worth it.
It's added to your bill?
Yeah,
Now that, this,
Yeah.
now that I
Okay, thank you.
know this.
I bought it when I heard about
My
Jamie's,
neighbor lost their dishwasher too.
that he had. Well, I already had the appliances,
But I got-
because our air conditioner had been hit.
You know, I just had to have my capacitor replaced, because my air conditioner went out while I was away. And I
Probably
wonder if
wouldn't
that's
cover that.
because of,
Yeah.
something with these storms, I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know, my air conditioner was still under warranty, so I didn't have to pay for that, but I decided to get the electronics too. So,
Yeah, lightning sends a lot of power surges through your system, and that's,
It could do the capacitor?
every time we had a thunderstorm in the Washington area, because our company was from Baltimore to Richmond, we had probably at least a half a dozen dead compressors that, due to the power surge from lightning. Okay. Pickleball tennis court project status. We sort of are in limbo. They're saying what, the last week of August to start, so.
Contract signed, down payments made.
Has anything changed based on the flooding that we had? Have they changed the structure or adding more dams or whatever it is? We had a lot of water on the courts. this
Yeah, we
year.
did, we did. And that could be a lake issue that we're still looking at.
The dredging part.
Yeah.
You know, we're getting that pipe cleared out, because the back lake, we had the floodgates open into the
Yeah.
big lake, and that back lake went down within a day. And this one was like 3 days, and it was, but it had all the water from those 2 parking lots backed up.
Well, I went over and looked at it just because of what we were doing. Holy moly.
We had a pool and over there.
Well,
Well, I had a pool right in my backyard too.
it'll just be the berm, there'll be no wall there now.
Oh, okay, well, I
So
don't,
we,
berm and wall seems
Yeah.
says to me, but.
Well, it was duplicate, really.
and the berm is a lot less expensive, so. And I think it'll do as much as the wall. Will it keep them clear? If we have rain like we had down, 13 inches in one day, pretty much from Saturday night to Sunday night. Mother Nature, and just, I don't know. Hopefully it helps. Tree in the wall.
Okay, as you know, the tree's gone, and the most, well, let me say, 2/3 of the stump has been ground. Unfortunately, the rest of it's leaning into the wall, and we have to take about 8 feet of the wall down to finish the project. Our concrete guy that does that declined to work due to heat and things of that nature. So we're trying to find somebody who's going to come down and knock the wall down so we can finish the project. I've got a couple calls into people who I think would be interested in doing it.
Are we going over budget with that?
Well, we
Did
had a budget.
Did we put a budget to it? Because
Well, we've already spent $5,800 taking the tree down and grinding the stump. Now we're gonna have to take 8 feet of the wall down. The stump grinding, when they come back, is already paid for.
So it's getting a little more complicated than we initially thought.
Well, we knew
We're
that the
gonna
wall
have
would
to
have
take
to
down
be
some of the
replaced.
wall anyways,
And, you know,
to
so,
fix it,
yeah.
so.
So it was originally planned though to do in-house, but, so now we have to hire a contractor?
I would never planned to do the wall in-house.
Oh,
It's-
no,
it's
okay. I
Too
thought-
massive.
I thought,
We got the contractor that's built walls for us, ready to go. And he's becoming older, as we all are, I guess, and
He said
he said
taking down the wall, but he might build the wall.
he'll build a wall, but he just doesn't want to get involved in breaking the footer and everything else up. So maybe we'll have somebody to just do the whole thing. And the guy who does the sidewalks, like we're gonna, the gentleman who is gonna do that small set of sidewalks that you approved. Yeah, he's built walls, he built Vivienda for me and some of the others down the street, so I'm dealing with him.
So we're working on the tree trimming project.
Tree trimming, just for everybody's information, and then we'll be posting it. Palm trees and the rest of the hardwood trees that we're gonna trim commence next Monday. It was delayed due to the wet grounds. Obviously, while we're talking about that, the grass that's knee-high also was left because we could not get our equipment in there without causing ruts and disasters. We are starting to cut the grass now, and it's too bad we didn't have 30 or 40 goats or something out there. That worked out much
Good
better.
eating grass.
Yeah.
I have a
Well, it's pretty
question
deep
on,
by us.
a related item, I hope. And this was just by one of the neighbors asked me, plastic bags versus the paper bags. We totally understand that and agree with it, but we've always had plastic bags as being a way of gathering the junk, so to speak.
Well, let's just say we're in a, what's the word, conundrum. We've been told by the people who we contract with to take our debris, and we do save money versus the county coming in and getting it because of the contract. He said that the dump will no longer take plastic bags. If you were to call Manatee County right now and ask them, they'll say that's not their policy. And I've had at least 3 of our residents be very upset with me for not taking plastic bags. Now, we have not stopped taking plastic bags because our guy's taking it and we're going in the back and we cut it and they're picking up the loose. So until we get it resolved, whether our contractor is taking it to another facility than the county because it's closer and cheaper, I don't know. That's what may be happening, so we're trying to investigate. But right now, if you call the county, they're taking plastic. And we're taking plastic because we're cutting them up.
So we are taking plastic, because the email blast went out to put
Well,
on paper.
the email blast said
And there's
we
quite a few
prefer not
plastic
to-
bags
yeah.
hanging out there in Wildewood.
He's not officially taking
Yeah.
plastic.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, wait.
I was gonna say, if you want to convert over to paper, well, let me know what you want to put in the newsletter.
Yeah,
But
no,
if you want to,
we'll have to get involved in it, but the paper bags, and people use them, number one, there's much less capacity.
Yes.
Number two, they're not cheap, and number three, they get wet. The bottom will
Yeah.
pick it up and they just
that's
fall
the
out.
biggest issue, I would
So
think.
there's nothing good about it. I got a call today from somebody who said that there's such a thing as a biodegradable bags, and could they be taken? And I said, why
The
not?
problem with those is, there are a few people in Woodlawn that put theirs out like last Thursday, their bags. I don't even know which condo it is because they put it in such a spot where you can't tell.
Yeah.
So if you're using a biodegradable bag out there, it's gonna degrade by the time
Really?
Tuesday morning comes,
Well,
you know.
they take a lot longer than
theoretically,
that.
the association official rule is nothing is to be set out except on Tuesdays.
Yeah,
It's impossible to enforce, and we
Can
go
something be
around
put on
daily,
the
go around,
mailbox?
even when Steve and I make our trips daily, we'll pick up stuff just to keep it, so, you're never gonna get everybody to just bring it out Tuesday.
can we put something on the mailbox bulletin board?
It won't stop, we had it when I first came.
Yeah.
People just, they do it when they can, and I understand that, maybe only got Thursdays off, you know, I mean, you know, it just happens that way.
The thing is, like, you're asking everybody else to look at your trash bag for the long weekend, instead of you looking at it in your courtyard until Tuesday morning.
Well, you're right, but we do, the last thing that I was due on Friday is swing through for any pickup, so it won't be there for weekends.
Yeah, but that doesn't, in Woodlawn, they sit there all weekend. It's behind, Unit 6, Joanne Wood. She's on the
Really?
end, yeah. I don't, she's not even here, so I know it's not her.
Yeah.
It's one of those courtyards in that row.
Okay.
But anyway,
Sneak it
You
out,
make a
put
good
it behind
point,
somebody else's-
nobody wants to see those
right, we're all
bags
looking
out.
at it,
Yeah.
right.
Alright, reserve study proposals.
We've received 2 reserve study proposals, they both came in within, what, $20 of each other, something like
Pretty
that?
close.
$1,700 and $1,690 or something like that.
17,000.
17,000
I was gonna
and then
say.
16,900 or something like that.
Oh,
What about the third one? Did you get a chance to reach out?
Not yet, I've
Okay.
asked for a third one, I've asked for 2 more. So, there'll be more coming. The second one, Association Reserves, that seems to be getting pushed by CAI, told me that they are so inundated with 3-story buildings that it may be 6 months to a year before they could even consider doing anything. So the local people seem to be more ready than the national people.
All right, well, that may just drive our choice if we're gonna,
Yeah.
I know we've discussed this before, but I still can't see any return on investment. What are we gonna gain from it? $17,000. I mean, is it just because now we've got a check on our list, or are we really that far off that we need to worry about it?
do you know how far off we
No.
are? There you go.
But the point
We want a
is
certified
yeah,
study.
but we're 90% of the way compared to the rest of the world.
We don't know that. We have nothing in our collection right now for
What
the
if it
roof
turns out
deck.
that we're only $17,000 off?
What are you talking about?
Well, I'm just saying, I mean, it's ridiculous to spend $17,000 to find out that we're only a few dollars off.
So you
Okay,
don't
but at least
think
we
we're
had a
off.
certified study done that assures us of that.
And what will that save us?
What do you
Will
mean,
we
what
not
will
have
that
to do
save
it
us?
again for 20 years?
If it says we're doing everything, then it saves us from having to increase our rates.
For
Right
how
now,
long?
we have nothing in the collection right now for roof deck. Now, in light of what happened in the other association, they got hit with an assessment of $41,000.
But everybody's that way, not everybody's getting these assessments.
We will if we
Or
don't
cost
do
of-
something. So my point is, what's the life of the facilities, right? I'm not saying John doesn't do a good job. We're doing like better than most associations in the fact that we are collecting. But we have nothing in there right now for the roof deck. So should we know how much a roof deck is gonna cost in 10 to 15 years? John's guessing. But these certified reserve specialists, this is what they do for a living.
I feel like I'm opening Pandora's box. What if they say
I
we
would
need
wanna
to
see what's in
raise it?
Pandora's box, cause, right?
If they tell us we
In
gotta
10
go
years,
up-
I don't wanna get hit with a $41,000
Yeah, but
assessment.
if they tell us we have to
Well,
raise our
we can
assessments by
raise the fees,
$41,000
Get
a
more
month.
prepared for it, you
Exactly.
spending
Let's start
17
preparing
grand.
for it now.
Yeah, I got no problem with that.
My concern of it is not really a concern, I just don't understand it. I can't see any return on investment based on the fact that we are so much better than the majority of the world out there.
I get
Why
that.
are we trying to find out how much?
But do you know every year in our audit report that the auditor writes in there that our reserves are not certified by an independent certified analyst? Why would they write that?
Well, do they do that for all condominium associations? Because nobody else I know is doing it.
Yes, it would be in there.
Well, then we're all amongst, what have we changed? We're not changing anything, and frankly, if that's good enough for every other condominium association in the US, or I should say Bradenton, what are we gaining from this? I don't know.
Assurances that the numbers that we are collecting in our condo fees is sufficient to cover what we need to replace on the surface, on the paper surface. You know, how long roof decks are expected to last remaining life, and then how much it will cost come 10, 15 years from now.
Does it
And we
become
can
our
start
choice?
collecting it
Does
back.
it become our choice
Right
then?
now, you're paying nothing for a roof deck.
Yeah, but does it become our choice now, once it's been established that we need to increase those reserves for that?
Does it become your
Our
choice?
choice as a board, that we want to fund what they say we have to have.
Well, of course, the board votes or approves any
Well,
ultimate.
we've now established that they,
My
as an
understanding
expert,
is that if they say this is what you need to do by law, we have to do that?
No,
yes,
that's not true.
what I wanna know.
That's
It's like
not
a
true.
lawyer. Just to
You have to post the reserve study on the website, but that doesn't mean you have to collect what they say. So they're
Yeah.
giving, because once the, go ahead, John.
No,
that's good.
I'm just saying, like, once a month passes, it's already old information, so say, you know, something could change, time passes, things change. But it's always the board or the association's decision as to do whatever you want with the study, but that's information you should have.
But if we don't fund it, are we now at fault by, as a board, not funding the fact that we need to have another
John has run
$200,000?
some numbers on
I agree.
funding. Have you,
We're at
Yeah, I
fault.
found some.
you haven't looked at his email, have you?
Not the details,
I
I
have,
have not
okay.
looked at it.
All right, couple things.
But I know
Well,
we
let's
talked
get
about
back.
You see
putting
where
it
I'm
in.
going with this?
No, no,
my
I see.
concern.
The number one, I've confirmed with the association's attorney, if we get a reserve study and it says X, you have to use that as the basis for your budget. Now, that doesn't mean you have to fund it, but the board does not have a right not to fund it. The board only has a right to fully fund. The only way you can less than fully fund, and most associations do that, not yours, but most associations do that by a vote of the people. So each year, all right, we put in conversation sake. This year, never mind the interest or anything like that, for the last 10 years, you put $500,000 in there, okay? Work doesn't work, so far it has, but that's neither here nor there. That's what you put in. If the reserve study came in and said, you need to collect $450,000, you're in good shape and you've got some. If the reserve study comes in at 600,000 instead of 500,000, you have to put that budget out there. But you can also say the board recommends less than full funding and vote for the 500,000 again. That's how it works. Yeah, every association that I managed before I came here, there was only Country Village and one other that fully funded. So everybody had to have a vote every year. So, and that's just the way it is. It hasn't changed. It's changed for 3-story and up even more radically because they must have to do some things, but it hasn't for us. So, to take it one step further, and Barbara, and you'll get a chance to see all this, I have now put a new reserve study together that includes what Barbara's talking about, starting to fund in roughly 14 years of deck roofing, on a better day. And I put a tentative figure of $7.5 million. We had about 5 years ago, we had a proposal for 5.5. So, I mean, educated guess, dumb guess, I don't know, but that's what I put in. That would cause roughly $30 a month collection process from now until 14 years to the owners to have $7.5 million in there. $30 a month in the reserves over what you're funding now.
And that's based on like 7.5 is the estimate today?
Yeah.
Or what you
Well,
anticipate it being
anticipate,
then?
yeah.
Right. That-
So-
And that's a number that
Yeah.
could change over
Yeah,
time.
yeah.
That's why I
So,
say
yeah.
the reserves, if we were to hire someone to do the reserve study, do one of these independent ones, whatever number they're coming up with is only good for that year or that time, point in time.
Yeah. My progressive of 20-year collection is, I think it's, and I'm going, I don't have it here, on my, is instead of $500,000 that first year, we have to go, I think it's $800,000, and then $600,000 for the next 14 years to have that money for that and everything else. But the budget committee hadn't even seen this stuff yet.
Yeah, it has to be hashed out there. John,
Thank you.
does anybody know why that association that got hit with an assessment for $41,000, why they didn't do a loan?
Well, they may have, but we don't know. They could have, but still had to be paid. The assessment, I mean, apparently they didn't, but they could have. I had
Yeah.
associations that did that. In other words, it's like Wildewood 2, they're paying $800 a month, a quarter, over and above, over a long period of time. It all depends how it did. I had an association want to remodel their lobbies, and it was $31,000 an owner, due in 30 days. They could have gotten a loan, but they didn't.
It's curious, because
You get your own loan. That's what the thing it is. They want you to
that's
get
what
the
they
loan.
wanted to do.
Yeah. Tom?
So could we possibly table this issue for a year? You said there are very few companies that do this kind of certification. If they're forced to do the certification for 3 stories and above, in a year or two, those companies may be aching for business, and the number, the 17,000 number, may drop dramatically as they're aching for business.
Yeah, I always had in the back of my mind it wasn't going to be much more than 10, 11. And when it came in like this.
That just seems like an exorbitant amount of money,
Right
but.
now, they can do that. That's.
Yes, right. And there still are, I mean, most engineering companies will. I mean, there's more than just the 3 or 4 that I've dealt with, but they're all going to come in somewhere.
It's all about you.
Plus the fact is my own association that's probably 11 years old is now doing a follow-up study because they recommend every 10 years once you do it to renew it. I didn't agree with them there, but I'm not saying anything about here.
Gus has his hand up.
Hey, Gus.
Yeah, hey, John, can you repeat those numbers on your what you put together for a roof? This is a roof replacement, right?
Yeah, total roof with a pitch, a code roof, okay? 7.5 million for the 40 buildings.
Okay, over 14 years?
Yeah. Yeah.
Do we know how much that association that's doing their roof deck now paid per square foot?
We could find
I
out.
can find out.
Is that to see like what's that equivalent to today's dollars in total?
Yeah, we could find out.
And then
I thought
based
I
on
had
our
the figures with me,
40
but the
buildings?
budget committee's going to see them on Monday, and we'll know more to talk about at the meeting.
Yes.
But what sticks in my mind is, what about about 250,000 a year is what I'm thinking of. Why not I just go get it? I mean,
Because you're disabled.
yeah, that's right.
Can you do it?
Yeah, thank you.
Could you table it? It would be easier to table it for a week and wait. It's up to everybody.
So 250,000, that's
Oh,
$50,
For half the roof, so.
Yes.
You good there? It's gonna-
$500 a unit.
Yeah,
That's not too bad.
Hey, John,
yeah, yeah.
looking at those numbers, that runs out to about $80 a month per unit.
The budget committee will work it out.
The budget committee was gonna work on that, yes,
That's on Monday.
next Monday.
Yeah, but my point is, it's much bigger than $30.
I didn't come up. My hands have touched it now. It's going in the garbage.
Dick's got a question.
Yeah, Dick, go ahead.
My question would be, correct, the board ultimately makes a decision about whether to increase or not increase no matter what the remarks are from the study, why would we spend $17,000 if in fact we could say we have to make a decision one way or the other anyway? It seems to me spending $17,000 to get information that we already have isn't necessary.
Well, it's just certifying that we've got all the components correct, accurate in our study. Estimates and estimated lives, estimated remaining lives.
They're guessing too.
Well, they're doing it based on some type of
Right,
construction
yes.
standards and information certainly John is gonna be giving them, right? So,
I personally agree with Barbara. I think it would be useful. And I think she's earned so much money on the interest with our investments that.
it's gonna help.
Yeah, we can pay for it.
Although
And-
rates are going down now, so.
Okay. And then rest easy that, the professionals back up our numbers or that we need to collect more. I'd rather be financially prepared than unprepared.
Well, that was my thought, was to put the $100 a quarter back starting January 1st.
Yeah.
And then we pick up that extra. John figured it out.
Well, Gus, I agree with you, it's probably somewhat higher. My figures show to collect $7,500,000, we have to collect about $600,000 a year.
Extra.
Well, it's to add to what we're collecting now. And,
You're muted, Gus.
You're still
The
There you go.
7.5,
yeah,
the 7.5 million works out to 13,440 per unit.
yeah.
You
Okay,
divide that 68 months out, 14 years, that's $80 per month.
well, like I said, all right, and I figured the first year contribution would have to be at least for all reserves. Instead of 500,000, it'd be 700,000, and then 600,000 for the duration for the next 19 years.
Yeah.
And that should cover all expenses, including carport roofs, which are coming up, and office roof too.
Plus, when we get into the budget discussion, it's gonna be things like, well, the lamp posts, do we need to be
They're in
looking at
there,
lamp posts?
it's all in there. I mean, this reserves, well, yeah, it is, yeah. What I'm saying is, we've got building coating, we've got office roof, we've got building replacement, roof replacement. We got, this year, I'm also figuring 12,500 every other year for electrical supplies, for electrical fixes. We got the stack pipes, we got the second floor slabs that we have to renew for, we got all the pool resurfacing. Tennis courts, and tennis courts driving the price up because we're a minus $138,000 when we spend this. So we gotta collect not only for the future, we gotta pay the debt back. Sidewalks, utility van in 15 years. Grounds lights, trees and shrubs, security camera system, emergency storm repairs, pond maintenance, and major building repairs. So we're pretty much covering the waterfront. Is the figures right?
So John, would you say, is it safe to say that this is now much more comprehensive than it was a year ago?
I would say much more.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay.
The roof decks because it's a big component.
Well, not just the roof decks, I'm talking about everything that's in there, it's a much more comprehensive. The reason that we have $140,000 deficit in the tennis courts is because they were under reserve.
Correct.
I mean, that's why you have a deficit.
Yeah. The replacement, whatever they're doing, came earlier than anticipated.
No, but, that's just an example.
what they're
That was Susan as an example, but they were under reserve. I knew they were under reserve for years.
But what we just heard right here is no different than these guys, supposedly with all the expertise, are gonna tell us.
And
we
so
have to
the
do
answer is
something more.
really to wait until John gets all this done, and we really get a chance to look at it in the budget committee on a comprehensive way, and come back and say, this is worth it, it isn't worth it, it might be worth it. We don't really know, we're just talking now philosophically.
And we're reserving for the expense. We will have the expense. We're putting money aside. We thought we had to increase it though, because we thought it was gonna be 10.
Right, so, we're gonna have a big budget thing here because of this now. But they're going up, the reserve cost is gonna go up, we know that.
Yeah.
Yeah, we got painting gear at the next, you know, so.
Yeah.
Anyway, we've
Well,
got a
let's look
20-year
at the
plan here,
budget
you'll all
committee,
see
and
it.
then we can take this up again. Tammy?
I went to a CBIZ meeting the other day, and everything that we're talking about, they were discussing. Structural integrity, the pools, all of the committees look at their specific areas, and they meet with John and they talk things over. Cracks, root damage due to sidewalks and roads, building works with the structural, parking safety, potholes, road repairs, landscaping, falling debris, rodent removal, etc. Dryer safety, that's one thing that we do not ever talk about, but trap cleaning should go into the newsletter pertaining to individual, so we don't have fires for the structures. Emergency preparedness, we overdid the operation manual plan for that. Lighting, security reports outages, prevents accidents, and they're always working on the electrical system. Pool safety, fire safety, barbecue grills that are too close to the buildings per the statutes are told they have to move them, stuff like that. Fire hydrants and all of the fire things are taken care of by the fire department. Security, are we vetting the contractors? We're doing patrols. Electrical safety, we've already talked about all of that. And signs by the lake, so that if somebody gets bit by a rogue alligator, or eaten, we are taken care of.
Is
So
that different
CBIZ,
from a nice friendly alligator?
yeah. But CBIZ went through all of these things. And it was very interesting to me because our association does most of this already. So to pay $17,000 or $18,000, let's rethink about trying to get lower because we already do a lot of these things. These reserve studies proposals are for people that totally ignore their problems, totally ignore the reserve studies, the Surfside people who didn't want to spend the money. They knew that they had problems but did not want to spend the money. The over 3-story people, or the people that have a manager that comes in 3 times a month and has not a clue to what's really going on in their association. We have our manager who is seeing things on a day-to-day basis and working on these things. So when we start looking at proposals for reserve studies, we're doing most of this stuff.
So is that a survey that based on?
This is all that CBIZ
Well, how many
will do.
associations are not doing reserve studies? Is that a survey that says that?
How many associations aren't?
Or not doing?
I haven't done statistics on that, and it's none of my problems. Our problem is only our association, and what we need to do to make sure that our association is covered. But we're doing a lot of this stuff prior to. So, there again, our reserve studies proposals, do we need to spend buku bucks when we can use that money into some of the things that we need to do? If you'll pass that to John.
Thank you.
That was what CBIZ presented.
Okay.
But like I said, let's do the budget, look at that, and then we're not gonna abandon it. Let's see how you feel.
ABC.
You know, like I said, I think it's unfortunate I said we probably try to keep the dues down, but in light of this new roof and more money that you want to put away for it, which I agree with, we don't want an assessment. Nobody wants that. But if we can do it proactively, maybe you'll be a little more satisfied.
Perhaps.
We'll talk about it again. All right. What do we got here? Communications. Have all done?
Yep, there'll be a couple of communications.
Drain issue on the lake, well, that came up after this last
A quick question here. I saw something come across in regards to some kind of a board training program or something like that, vis-a-vis the internet. Is that something we're supposed to be taking advantage of, like Tuesday or Wednesday of next week?
Well, there'll be several of those classes issued. As the fall comes, they'll start as people come back. There's new requirements for board members to follow. It's like a 4-hour class. I've got the whole list of everything that I'll be presenting to you.
Excellent. That's all I want to know.
Oh, that's great. Are you presenting it at the board meeting? Or
I will, yeah, I can't, maybe not this one, the next one. Because
okay, great.
we talked about last,
Right.
what's the future gonna bring? Well, now I've got everything codified
okay.
in front of me, so I can tell you exactly what you have to do.
Great, thanks, Terry.
Yeah, we're looking into possibly getting somebody to try to take a look at the drainage system on this particular lake, because this one seems to be the one that just literally goes out of it.
Yeah, the lakes on either side, well, the lakes behind, well, the northern lake goes the other way.
Right,
The one
yeah.
behind Pinehurst goes that way. The rest of them come this way, and it seems like there seems to be a somewhat of a backlog for this particular lake, and that's why it goes into the carports and everything else.
You're talking about the lake this side of the tennis courts?
Yeah. Yeah, there's a drain pipe that goes all the way back to the next lake, which is what, at least 200 yards?
Yeah, well, every bit of that, yeah.
And, I mean, it's a good-sized pipe, but over the years, stuff gets in there and it just, I think it's pretty well plugged up.
Doesn't affect any units, just the tennis courts and...
Well, it could affect some of the units.
Well, the parking lots.
Yeah.
People gotta walk to their cars, and if they're in the carport, they had to...
This was quite a storm. My former home in Lakewood Ranch was one of 70 homes that took about 15 inches of water. I was up there Saturday. It was a sin. It was like a bomb went off. Everybody's flooring, everybody's appliances,
couches,
gorgeous furniture that doesn't look like anything's wrong with it at all. Oh, and there must have been 100 purveyors in there taking pickouts.
That's not even a flood zone, is it?
Well,
it was the one that was on the news.
It was the one that you've seen in
on
the
the
news.
news every night.
I lived on a preserve, and there was about a 40-foot drop from that, and a tributary of the Manatee River was behind there. Never was more than 2 or 3 inches deep and walk across it. And it came up almost 50 feet. It got blocked up, and it just took out 70 homes. And it's just really sad.
Yeah,
and I got friends there that just, thank God I'm not there anymore.
The news had a lot of Sarasota people. They
Oh yeah,
never flooded.
Creek, yeah. Philippi Creek got
That
much
was
more.
Right, they never
yeah.
flooded, so they're not in a flood zone or whatever, and so they never took flood insurance out, and their homes are gone.
Well, here's the deal. My son is the floodplain manager for the city of Fort Lauderdale. He's also the president of the Floodplain Managers Association of the state of Florida. He had some contact with people here, and 2 things that he told me, because I was asking for my friends. Number 1, they're going to get reimbursed, what they're going to get from FEMA. But the average flood insurance bill this year to those people was about $600 to $800, depending on what they had in value.
A month?
No, a year.
Oh, okay.
Next year, the renewal will be somewhere between $6,000 and $8,000.
Whoa!
Once you get it, once you got it, you got it.
I mean, once you get it and then file a claim, then it goes up?
In today's market, it didn't used to happen that way, but it does now. The home that I have in Miami, on the bay, this year paid $22,000 for flood insurance alone. Never mind the regular insurance. It's out of control. It totally is out of control. Yeah. Mark, my son, had to last week write 24 letters to people who had damage from a flood a year ago, have them fixed, tell them to demolish their house. That's just the way it is. Water's rising.
So do they, but FEMA would be sufficient to cover their costs?
Well, FEMA's going to, they're going to get their money back, but they're also going to pay it back.
Because it's a loan,
rapidly.
basically. It's not grant, it's a loan.
no.
What is FEMA
FEMA,
do?
no, FEMA is the benefit, I mean, when you pay for flood insurance, it goes to the coffers of FEMA. And then FEMA sends it back if you have an issue.
Oh, I didn't know the insurance goes through FEMA.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
FEMA, you have to make the claims through FEMA.
Oh, okay.
It's the insurance of last resort.
Yeah.
So if you don't file a claim, you don't get charged the additional amount?
Well, that's true, if you wanna eat it up, but I mean, like I said, everybody, anything that was on the floor in these 70 homes.
Right, I get that,
you
I
know,
get
are
that.
pretty
But-
good
No,
value.
yeah, but what he's
But-
saying is,
but-
like
but-
what you said before,
$5,400 a year additional from 600 to 6,000.
because you filed a claim.
Yeah.
Because
But
you
if you
filed
didn't
the,
file a claim, would you still be down at, say, $600 a year?
You know, that's a good question.
Is
I
it
didn't
neighborhood
pursue- I didn't
related?
pursue that.
Okay.
You know, I didn't, that may
I
be
wouldn't
true.
count on that one.
But you're not gonna, I mean, my best friend over there, my
They're-
best friend
they
over
got
there
the
said, we're
neighborhood.
gonna minimally furnish it and we're gonna sell it right away. Ha, ha, ha. Who's gonna buy that? It's a beautiful home. 4 bedrooms, 3 baths, you name it, pool.
Well, anyways, we're gonna check into at this point.
Free.
Unit owners, mailing list, addresses.
This is kind of an internal thing, and I don't know how it sits, so I just want to have to throw it out for the board to listen. People come, our good friends snowbirds, and when they come in the office and they want to change their address to get mailings here, and I understand the reasoning. But this last mailing where we had to send out coupons, half the people didn't tell us they went back or gonna go back, and we've got 85 returns on what we sent out for coupons. And basically the state says you should have an official address for receiving materials like minutes or notices of election or maintenance fee collections. And I hesitate because it's an ease to change these things, but they don't get changed back and forth. And Chris knows, and the IT committee knows what's happening as far as trying to keep the roster straight, you know. And so my feeling is we have to have a permanent address, we won't have these communication problems.
I think that's a good idea.
And we just have to have a policy that, I'm sorry, your mail, if you're here for 3 months, 4 months, you're just gonna have to wait for it to come back from up north, if that's where you want your primary mail, just for our operational sake.
Would you call that a legal address?
Yeah, I would, I would call it,
Somewhere,
yeah,
somehow that's-
official address for the association or something like that. But like I said, when you get 85 pieces of mail back, when you're asking for money.
The issue gets more complicated, and that is that you put your northern address in as your permanent address, and then you come here for 3 or 4 or 5, 6 months, and something goes up there and you don't get it for a couple of weeks. And so it's not an easy situation, but one of the ways that I think we can try to address it is we have to emphasize that the census form should be filled out every year by everybody. And on that census form is your permanent address. And so if people don't fill those out, and a lot of people never fill them out, we don't get enough information to be able to send things to the right address, to have the right phone numbers, to have the right email addresses. That census report is a really valuable form that we need to emphasize that owners need to fill out, and renters as well.
Did you get a good response this last time or no?
I have, would you say half?
Yeah, we got
300 maybe?
We did get some, but I you know, they go to the office, so I don't know how many.
Yeah, we got about 300, Mary kept a count on it, and we got a lot of them, nothing changed.
Right.
A lot of people wouldn't send it in because it said nothing changed.
Well, on this, people complaining that they're not getting things because their mailing address is 600, 800, 2,000 miles away. If there's something that they really want, they can come into the office and get a copy, correct?
Always, sure.
Yeah. I mean,
But they know.
it should be their responsibility.
Yes, it should.
We're not babysitters.
It's
You
further
said the
complicated,
town-
one second. If it's further complicated by the fact, when they leave here,
Yeah.
they forward things, but the forwarding runs out after such a period of time. 25 of the ones we had
30
returned
days.
were sent to people here whose forwarding
Post
addresses
office requires less than 30
were
days.
expired.
Hold.
Would
Oh,
it
hold,
remedy
but
anything if we
How
called
long
it a
does it
legal
forward?
address?
I thought it was 6 months.
Yeah, whatever's on the driver's
Legal
license.
address
Yeah,
rather than
6
a
months,
permanent address?
But that's only for first class.
I don't know if that changes anything, but I think permanent
Standard mail
would
gets
be
thrown in garbage.
different to me than my legal.
Yeah,
Because it is
I'm
garbage
not
man
sure
and
what we
like-
say on it. I think we have both addresses, your address here and I think we call it an alternate address or
Well,
something
that,
like
that
that.
would indicate that this would be the,
But we do tell, I think we do, you do mark which one you want stuff sent to.
Excellent, okay.
But they also come in and change it.
well,
They want it up
just
north
can't.
all winter or all summer.
All summer, and they want it here for the rest of the year.
Yeah. If everybody went on direct deposit, we wouldn't have an issue. I wouldn't even bring this up.
Yeah, there's actually 3 ways you can do it. Direct deposit to the association is the most cumbersome because it puts onus on the association and the resident. You can of course have your own bank account, move it back and forth, but that's again a problem that the resident has. Bottom line is that yes, an official residence is the responsibility of the resident, not the association.
Can we, charge people for 2 addresses, send it to both places? If they want it in both places?
That's
You wanna try collecting that, George,
That's
for us?
But then you'd have lots more postage at the
I think
association.
anything's possible, George, it's just a fact of another thing to try to follow up on,
Yeah, yeah.
you know.
I wouldn't
You know-
think that direct deposit's more cumbersome. That's actually very.
Well, no, I use, my direct deposit is through the bank, so my bank automatically knows because that's the one place I change my address wherever I go. And so that their direct deposit is through them and they send it out. It just can't be a Canadian address. Because US banks won't forward mail checks to Canada.
It's a shame we can't use a computer as that permanent address based on the fact that everybody's got a phone or a
But
computer.
it's not,
Email
everybody
address.
doesn't. Everybody
No.
doesn't.
John, there are
I'm
challenges.
hoping they would.
Well, they don't.
That's the only thing that moves with us, you know?
Well, you know, you bring up something that might be in the future because more and more vendors are submitting bills via email and not USPA. And if we had good addresses for everybody, we would save a lot of mailing by sending direct, invoices out via the mail, by email. Maybe we can work toward that. That may be the ultimate way to go.
That's why I recommend it.
Yeah, and well, see, sure, why not? I mean, I bet we get 40% less mail on invoices than we used to, easily. Everything comes to, how did I get 35 emails today? Oh,
I bet you have email addresses on half the
yeah,
people.
yeah,
That's off easy.
so, yeah.
Like
Monica has
Email
her hand
addresses
up
on
there.
half the people at least.
Well, we have emails, I would say 50% easily. Probably a lot more, wouldn't you say?
The last email we sent out went to 706 people.
I mean, I would opt out of mailings and say to you, send it to me email. If you gave me that option, I would opt out of snail mail and say, just send it to me on an email and I'll take responsibility.
How about if it's addressed to no reply?
I was gonna say that, Tom, but
Sorry.
I thought that was mean.
Monica. Go ahead, Monica.
I'll be the mean one.
Can we make direct deposit mandatory?
No,
Why not?
it's illegal.
I don't know that question, Monica. It could be researched, absolutely. It won't hurt to research it.
Some people's timing of their
Because,
funds.
my cell phone, my FPL, everybody wants, when you sign up, they said we only want direct deposit. So I have direct deposit with everything. Why not our fees?
But it's not mandatory with those companies either.
No.
No,
Yeah.
and I believe I would
They charge
believe it would be a
maximum
First
for that.
Amendment issue.
Some do.
It's mandatory to feed with the rate.
FPL spectrum.
We still have owners that don't have computers.
Yeah, but it's changed.
Or it's changing. No pun intended.
I would start with an option.
Yeah.
That's the way I do it.
And you don't need a computer, your cell phone does everything for you.
Good point, good point. No, we're not trying to throw in negatives. I just throw this out because it is an issue, and it was exacerbated by the change of the coupons we, well, at mid-year, just came back in droves.
I have another question. I have tons of pictures of the grass here, the pond, and the tennis courts. I literally went out in the storm because I was dog sitting, I had no choice. I don't think a berm is going to help. That water was so high, it was coming right up, almost to my back gate.
Yeah, I know, we were out. I got the
Now,
same
you
picture.
spend $150,000, $60,000, and we're not sure if this is going to work, because we cannot drain that pond.
Well, that's why we're looking into getting the pond so it will drain.
Yeah, but you know, my thing is, you have those occasional storms like we had this time. You may not have another one for a couple of months, so how are you gonna make sure that this is working?
Now, we're gonna bring a contractor in to check that, the pipe between the two lakes, Monica, we feel there's a constriction there. We about 4 years ago, we had the same thing happen at the foot of Wildewood Springs Boulevard, where one of those, and they're about like this, the corrugated pipes collapsed. And so it was just letting minor amount of water through. That may have happened there too. There is some flow, but there's not.
Not enough, yeah. Maybe have a few dead alligators in there.
Could be, could be. You know, I've heard people know where the bodies are buried. You know, maybe that's one of the places.
Not Jimmy Hoffa, I know.
Alright. Yeah, I think we're just about out of it. Any owners' comments?
Well, I was going to give one, but in spite of the time, I think I'll delay it till next month.
It's okay, you can bring it up.
Is that the one for the?
Well, I was going to recommend to the board that the roof of the J cluster for carports could be used very nicely for a solar panel. Unfortunately, when I was chairman of the Energy Savings Committee, I never investigated the cost. The new Energy Savings Committee found out that the payback was like 25 years, which is ridiculous. Things have gone very fast in the solar industry, so that now it is much more economical. I was just going to volunteer to get some numbers so that we get a payback with today's prices, and maybe using me as a manager for the electrician that would be involved in doing the job under county codes, under board approval, and under neighbor approvals. Unfortunately, carport owners are a minority in any cluster, so I don't know exactly who owns the roof of the carports, but my understanding is that there's also a legal issue if you want a payback from the government, that it cannot be an association, it must be an individual. Yeah. And so the board would have to say, deed the roof of my carport to me or to the 10 people, and then get it back after the job was done so they could get the discount from the government. That is a complication that the board would have to deal with. Would they be willing to deed the roof of the carports to some individual like myself or like the 10 people that own, or would they not? I mean, this is giving up assets of the association.
Wouldn't be, it probably can't do it under association rules.
Oh, you can do it. There's no, you can deed anything in your property to anybody.
Probably not without an owner's vote.
Well, no, the 10 owners.
No, it's not the 10 owners.
Well,
It would be
there would have to,
550 owners.
there'd have to be a significant dollar savings to do that, to look at it. That's what.
But this is why we couldn't put up more carports, right?
If we deed that roof to you, You have to pay for the insurance.
Of course.
That's carport.
It's a common element right now,
Yeah,
and I thought we just went through
that's-
this with the
Adding carports.
adding
Right.
carports.
So I
The lawyer
didn't
said
want to
you
bring
couldn't.
up this Pandora's box because,
Well, you
yes,
did.
there is.
It's something to,
What
something
you
to think
insist
about.
I know.
Your fault. No,
Okay.
I just don't want to get into any hassles. When I put in my charging station for my electric car, I got every approval I could think of, but I missed one. And so then I got yelled at and doors slammed in my face. I just decided, in order to do it right, you have to follow all the rules all the time. And that means, yes, you would have to, if you want to get a 20% discount from the federal government for putting in a solar panel, you have to be an individual or a co-op, not an association, under the state of Florida laws. So that would mean significant cooperation with the board and myself as an engineer to solve the problem. And the only thing I could come up with is we would have to form a new sub-association, which would be called an individual owner co-op, to do this roof thing and get a discount from the federal government.
Number one, I
Enough.
think this thing you're working on here is exactly where we have to go if we're looking at the future. This solar energy thing has got to have some answer for us somewhere, someday. Why is it that you only pull the carports? How about the tops of all the buildings?
Well, you could, but you know, you got to start baby steps.
I understand,
And the only way you do baby steps is to do something that works in your mind as an engineer. Now,
Yes.
personally, the carport for the J thing is perfectly oriented, has no trees in its way.
Right.
It would get 100% of the sun most of the time from morning to night. And it just makes sense to me. I haven't done the numbers, but I would be willing to. But then I see that there are many pitfalls. The biggest one is that to get a solar discount to build something, and whole communities are doing this, by the way, not just associations, but in the state of Florida, Florida Power and Light, and somehow the governor's office have decided that this cannot be done by associations. Now, why? I have no idea, except that it must be politics, okay? And it's just that it makes sense to get a discount where you could get a discount. Now, if an association can't, and Bob Dell can, why not let Bob Dell do the job? Because I would take responsibility, I would pay for the insurance while the time the construction was in place. I would give you a final report, and then I would give you back the carport roof after it's starting to make money for you. How do you make money? You then petition Florida Power and Light to put a reverse meter on your solar panel, and I already have a meter there for my electric car, so we would just convert that into going in both directions, and they would, Florida Power and Light would have to agree. But this all takes politic coordination, and the biggest political difficulty I saw was with the board of Wildwood Springs.
Well, let's say all 558 units wanted to do what you did.
You're never going to get that. That's
There's not enough carport space, number one, to
no.
cover that.
There's more people without carports than with carports. Why would they want to do something stupid like give away the carport roofs? They don't even have a carport.
Okay, but what if they want to do it, like you said?
Well, yes, but you're not going to get a majority vote even on that, I don't think.
Well,
There's just too many people that would vote for what John said or what the president said or what the board has already determined. The problem is with the board, not with the people. The people would, well,
I thought we already went through all this analysis.
yeah, and so I wanted to delay it.
No, wait a minute, I thought we already
I
went
have
through
a
this
question.
whole
Let me ask you a
analysis with
question.
solar.
This 20% discount,
It's not a discount, it's a
whatever you want to call it, whatever your savings.
It's a grant.
Whatever you want to
You're
call
saying
it.
it's a
You
grant.
get a grant from the federal government
Okay.
for putting in a solar
Let me-
roof on
let
your
me-
house.
Whatever it is, there's savings, correct?
No, it is.
Okay.
But I wouldn't do the carport the solar until I got the approval for
I
the
heard
grant.
that part, I heard that.
Why the carport? Why not the
Where-
roof?
It is the roof of the
Can
carport.
I ask
No,
my
I mean
question,
the regular-
please?
oh, sorry.
Is that all right? I have one question. Legally, where does that savings inure? Does it go to the individual?
It goes to the owner of who put in the solar roof,
It goes to
and
the
of course they have to
which in
own the
effect
solar
is-
roof.
Is the individuals who get their individual electric bill today?
It has nothing to do with electric bills.
It does.
Well, then what are you putting in
So,
solar?
so that when, if we were to do this, and we sell it to you guys, or give it to you guys, or whatever, and you do all that, and then you give it back, where does that 20% go?
It would eventually go to the association if they agree when they get it back.
So would
that
it
it's gonna
inure back,
make-
so
it's gonna be a
this is an
quick payback.
association savings, that's, in the
It will
long run, it's
save
an
it
association
in-
savings.
Yes,
Well, that's
because
what we're
once
looking
you're
at.
on a reverse meter, you're getting money back that day.
Yeah, but you're talking about a reverse on your meter, in your carport.
But I'm gonna give you the meter,
Not on
I'm
the
gonna give you
associate.
the roof, I'm gonna give you everything back.
So you're gonna sell the association your meter in
No,
your
I'm gonna,
carport?
it's already predetermined that I'm gonna pay for the whole thing, but then at the end, there's gonna be a reverse meter working and you're gonna get the money for it. Association, right away.
How does the
As I
association
understand,
get that
Bob,
money?
you're gonna outlay the cash for the project and everything?
Yeah, I do the whole thing.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
No cost to the association whatsoever, except they're giving up an asset for a period of time.
I think for future reference, this has gotta be the way to go. We're surrounded by electric power being used. We've already got 10 cars now that are electric, and I'm one of you guys.
Well, I was the
So-
first electric car.
Yes, you
but
were.
Believe me, it wasn't worth all the trouble.
I understand, but I'm finding I'm enjoying the benefits. But the bottom line is, if we're gonna look to the future, we need to be thinking about this. This solar energy is there, and if we can get a reverse meter like this, it's a sign.
You're just gonna get a reverse meter for being, Bob Dell being nice.
Yes, well, but the bottom line, if we did it for the whole community, there would be potential.
But you gotta do baby steps first.
Exactly, you do. But
This
the
is a
point
pi-
is,
this would be a
we get
pilot.
return on investment. Yeah.
This will be a pilot.
A pilot project for the J cluster, which only requires 10 votes from the 10 owners of the thing, in my humble opinion. I might be wrong.
You are wrong, because it would require the whole.
I think you need an
We're-
ad hoc
it's
Well, you
owned
don't
by
know
all-
that I'm wrong, because you might
It's
be wrong.
not just
Yeah,
about a
that's true.
pilot for one person.
See,
It's
but
about-
But I
what
own,
if a
but
lot
I
of
own your
people
cluster,
want
your
this?
carport roof too.
What are the legal issues?
Yeah, we're gonna,
Well,
John is gonna
you
talk
don't
to
know
the
enough
lawyer about it.
I'm just trying to be a nice guy, and what I
agree.
find is that the nice guys finish not last, but in the low end of the pile.
Well, the associations finish last, is really what the issue is.
The only thing we know for sure is that the association is responsible for the maintenance of the building. And I'm not sure if I have to look at it, but the carports themselves may be the limited common element pertinent to the unit, just like the walkway is as you go in upstairs.
No, it could be. My carport, I have a deed on
Deed
it,
to it, yes, that's right.
and all the other 10 owners have deeds on it.
Yes, but is that the
Unfortunately,
space on the ground, or is that what's a?
Well, that's
See,
it.
that's what I'm saying. That's the.
Yeah, you don't own
The
the
structure,
structure.
maybe you just own that.
Paint to paint.
Yeah,
Yeah,
right.
paint to paint.
You own the right to park in that spot
Yeah.
all the time.
No, you
Just
own
happens to be a
the
roof over
inside
it.
of that carport.
You don't own the structure, though.
Well,
The
that's
association owns the
debatable.
structure.
I don't think
That's
it's
right,
in
and
any
it's
kind
right
of.
in the documents.
I think it needs to be researched, but I think John's right, you're right, I think a step forward can't hurt.
Well, I don't want to make an offer that I can't live with, and my offer is very simple. You have to do something about roofs if you want to ever have any solar. Okay, I have a pilot roof for you that wouldn't cost you anything. When you're all done, I give you my electric meter that's going backwards, and you start to use it.
Would you think that the carport roof, because of its age, would have to be replaced first?
Well, then you'll replace it for me, I guess, but
I'm
not during the
serious.
time I own it.
No, I understand that, no. While you're on it, that's a good time to do it.
Because, yeah, why don't you wait until you have to replace it, and then you say, Bob, why don't you come around, and I'll
Because
say,
we
fine,
figure it's
I'll
gonna be
do
another
it,
7,
if I'm
8 years.
still
and I
alive.
think- Yeah, well, hopefully, but seriously, Bob, we've got, I think, a 6-year life on the rest of the roofs. And whether it gets there or not, we don't know, but you don't want to hold this project off for 6 years if you can do it.
No, I'm not making the offer tonight, and I didn't even want to make the discussion tonight, because frankly,
Barbara's
all of
supposed to
these
know.
meetings take too long, okay? And I can see that this is a controversial subject. I have one board member that is certainly obviously for the idea, but probably the majority are against the idea, so maybe it should not be tabled. It should
never
be-
been against
We
it.
don't know enough information about it. The
But
cost-
you're not gonna get the right
cost-
information
the
until you
cost
see a
benefit.
dollar amount that's positive, or has a 1 year or less wait to get
It
positive.
needs a cost-benefit analysis, really.
Do you have a general idea what it would cost, Bob, just about to,
Well,
from your expertise?
yes, I've done enough calculations that I'm willing to handle the whole cost by myself, and yet, that doesn't make any difference to people. Oh, they gotta give away the carport roof.
But I think it's a legal issue, that's what
Yeah,
John has to check into.
John will check into the legal end of this.
And I'm saying that I wouldn't do it without the rebate from the federal government, but it's just that it adds a big slice, you know. And,
20%'s a lot.
and as far as my plan would be is not to do it personally. I would talk to the other 9 owners and say, hey, will you go in with this as a group and then present that to the board? Now the board has 10 people instead of Bob Dell, and one of us is gonna live to return the
Quick, can I ask you
asset.
quickly, because you've thought a lot about this, what would this cost the association?
Zero.
I'm
No.
paying
Okay.
for it.
Who maintains the solar, who maintains the reverse meter,
That
who
would
does
go
all
back
that?
to us.
Until it comes back to you with a negative,
So the association does that?
yeah, well, the association gets the negative
Savings.
savings of the meter after the deed is returned, not the deed, but the maintenance requirements of the roof.
Wait, but you're saying the association would take over that 1 meter you installed in your carport?
Yeah.
That wouldn't be necessary.
Okay, for free,
There's a
for
common,
free.
there's a common meter at each cluster that feeds all the.
That's not the meter
Yeah,
he's
but he
talking
had-
about.
No, I know it is.
But I mean, in my case, there's 2 common meters. One is Bob Dell paying
Yes,
for it, and
right.
the other one is the association is paying for it. So yes, you wouldn't even need to do that. We put the reverse meter on the association. So from day one, it would have that. So there's no cost except once Bob Dell dies, the association's got to maintain that solar roof. That's right.
So how does it work, Bob? Bob, we have 34 bills that come in every month, okay?
I
So
looked at them all.
one of them would be
Negative.
a negative and credit the others, is that what?
That's
how
right.
it
You
works?
can't credit the other ones, but you do get some kind of benefit at the end of the year, yes.
In Ontario, Ontario is giving 65 cents per kilowatt hour.
It's about the same here, 65%.
No, 65 cents
Yes,
per please.
I'm sorry,
Ontario is giving 65 cents per kilowatt hour if you put in a solar roof. The cost at that time, maximum for kilowatt hours, if you were not putting in a solar roof, was 25 cents. So you were getting over almost 3 times what it cost you to put in the roof. But of course, that's your payback.
Sure.
Okay, so it was just done all over the province. Here in Florida, FPL does the exact opposite. It says, oh, we want to be a monopoly, let's put it on the ballot. And they didn't win because they needed 60% to win, they got 50-some%. Okay, FPL would rather put in all the solar roofs and charge you if you, and they're even proposing that now.
Yeah.
This is just, I think it's much better done at the community level, association level, individual owner level, or co-op level, and then working up. It's like little computers. What's one up? The big IBM 360s? No. The little Apples have won. You're much better to work from the community up. This community doesn't want to do that. That's fine. It shouldn't be an issue for me anymore.
And FPL is not gonna stop trying.
But
to-
FPL is going to still want to be a monopolistic
Yeah.
electrical supply organization for this place.
Sure.
And we can fight them from the bottom up, or they can push us down from the top down. And they will do everything they can to make sure that FPL wins. So you'll see solar panels with FPL's name on them all over the state, upsetting farmers or upsetting whoever is giving the permission for them to put it in. But we can do it ourselves, and we can have our meters start to run backwards. Now, how much? I don't have the exact numbers, because I don't know exactly how much I'm going to get out of my one roof, but it's a pilot job. And then once it's done, you could sit down and anybody could calculate how much it's going to save you. Should you do it for all the roofs? Some of the roofs? Only when the roofs need replacing? Tesla will already put in a roof, a solar roof, to replace a dead roof. They won't do it for flat roofs yet, but they'll do it for carport roofs that are on an angle, or, you know, and so I would have to put this roof a little bit on an angle. But it's just a no-brainer for a small organization right now.
Could, the way you have researched, could we lease the roof to you versus give you ownership and still get the, enjoy the benefit? Because you would have, I'm just saying, I know, having talked to the attorney about common elements and sales and building, it was a big education. Because, you know, this is a vote and this can't be done, there's no way you can do it, blah, blah, blah. Conversely, maybe if...
It would be better if the three of us just sat
Well,
down and
sure,
talked about it.
I'm just thinking while we're talking, maybe there's an out.
I don't think it's a board issue until the board has to vote about it. And there is no proposal on the table. I just said it's feasible, I'd be willing to explore it further. I'd have some hard numbers. It's a board problem.
Sorry.
It doesn't exist. And I only wanted to talk about it because I thought it could be quick. Then I realized after our
Never
meeting
quick.
that nothing that's controversial is quick in a board meeting.
That's good.
So we can have a meeting sometime, not this week, but in 2 or 3 weeks, the three of us, and then we can decide if it should be even brought up again.
Okay.
I don't
Very good.
want to take any more time.
Okay, thank you, Bob.
Yeah.
Any board member comments, directors? Anybody go around?
Election day is coming up on the 20th.
Oh, we got my bell.
Yeah, I went and voted yesterday. They have a nice place at Bray Park you can go into.
Yep, early voting is open at GT Bray, 8:30 a.m. to 6:30 p.m. Until Saturday, so public service announcement.
The newsletter, I set up the newsletter dates, I'll meet with John to go over them. We're targeting to have the newsletter complete around October 23rd. So, John, I'll get together with you like over the next week or so, just to make sure the dates are okay.
Yeah, sure, we'll get together after the budget meeting if you want, Monday.
Okay.
Whenever you want.
Okay.
Or come in, you know. It's good.
Okay, anything else? Thank you, Chris.
Thank
Everybody
you all.
have a great day.